What's good, everybody? It's your host, Juice, and this is Cognac Conversations, where the guests are organic, the dialogue is authentic, and the drinks are simply my favorite. And I want to introduce somebody to y'all today. This is my dog. This is our bartender. This is the person that's going to keep us fucked up on this show. Destiny, what it do? How you doing?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. You know, it's a long time coming. I appreciate you more than anything. I do believe in giving people their flowers. So I just want to take a second to say that I appreciate you. Always willing to, answer to the call, willing to create these drinks, basically willing to take part in my madness, right? So this has been a vision of mine for a long time. And you stepped right in, you didn't hesitate. I asked you, you were like, yeah, I got you. And you communicate well. So I just want to say that I appreciate you. And we just getting started, right?
Thank you, I'm excited.
But I do want to ask you, right, becoming a part of this and then me bringing you onto this, you said, yeah, but what was your expectation then and what's your expectation now of everything that's to come? So I know I've shared some of my private thoughts and things with you about how this came to pass, but I just want to know, like, what do you expect to get from this show and what do you expect of this show?
Well, initially thinking about it, I think when I hear cognac conversations, I think of men because I feel like that's who drinks cognac. I think of two men having a conversation over a nice glass of cognac. But after I heard your personal thoughts and then kind of being in the room for the filming, I feel like what I expect from it now is, like you said, organic conversation, authentic guests, just kind of going into topics that people don't typically talk about and just get into the nitty-gritty about those topics and diving deep. I feel like people express themselves differently when alcohol is involved. So I feel like that is a big factor to it also, but just getting more of that authenticity out and, showing it to the world.
Yeah, and I think that's big, right? And I think that's why we offering people cognac on this show because when you have that liquid courage in you, you tend to speak your mind.
Right.
You tend to speak exactly how you feel. And it's exactly what you said. This started off as a couple men, having a glass and talking about real life. We really didn't know how to get out of our environment, but we wanted to. We knew we wanted to. And so one of the biggest things is we had to keep trying. And so now we are here today. But I want to hear you speak on what's some of those topics that you feel like people don't talk about that they should talk about. That would be a cognac conversation.
Well, I feel like in this day and age, there's a lot of topics that people do currently talk about, but I feel like there's not a lot of knowledge behind it. And I feel like it's just like, oh, this is a hot topic, so let me discuss it. But something that I feel like would kind of correlate to that would be like mental health, motherhood, parenthood, now that I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
And just like, the hot topics we see online, like relationships is a big one. I feel like those are the top three, like parenthood, relationships, and mental health. Like that's always a conversation that people have or that I always see on podcasts.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's not a lot of knowledge behind it, but it's always something that people are progressively talking about.
Yeah, so everybody want to share their opinions, right? I want to share my opinion, but I don't want to do the research. And I think that that's where we've lacked at. But I think you gave 3 great topics. I would like to add a topic to that, though.
Okay.
Finances.
Finances? Okay,
right?
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Finances. Finances is big. You and I both work in nightlife. We see all the big spenders and all of that. But finances is big, financial literacy. And I'm one of the people to tell you that I didn't grow up with a bunch of financial literacy. I knew how to hustle and get some money. And then I knew that when you had a lot of money, you should try to keep it, but I was one of those people who spent it.
Right.
So financial literacy is something that I am actively working on. Like I said, parenthood, we kind of went through a parenthood experience at the same time. Our kids are 2 weeks apart. Relationships are big. I actually got a small topic that I want to talk to you about relationships. Actually, somebody sent it to me. And then mental health. Like I said, that is probably the biggest thing for me is because I am an advocate for therapy. I was completely against therapy for so many years, But about 2 years back, I influenced my daughter to go to therapy, and I'm one of those parents that want to lead by example. So her courage to go to therapy and she was ready for it. Like I got a therapy today, Daddy, and then she would always say when she left therapy, I can't tell you what we talked about. I'm like, you don't got to. As long as you're talking to your therapist,
Right,
like I'm
somebody,
good.
yeah.
And so I made myself go, and I'm an advocate for it now. I will continue to be an advocate for it, and I feel like everybody should have a therapist. Like I feel like
100%
that should
agree.
come with like your birth certificate type
No,
thing.
literally. I feel the same. I feel like in the beginning I wasn't super opposed to it, but I also feel like in the Black community it's not a big topic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like taboo. And then, as I get older and I dive deeper into my feelings and I am alone in my own space, I feel like it's super important. And I agree. Like sometimes it's another person in your life that you see the effect that it has on them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, let me give this a shot.
Yeah.
Like it really changes you.
Yeah. Nah, that was me. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? Because like I always feel like, you don't need to talk to somebody. You don't need to talk to somebody. And until I eventually need to talk to somebody, that's when I felt like the walls were caving in. So I am an advocate for therapy. But the one topic that I want to talk to you about for relationships is how do we feel social media influences relationships today?
Tremendously. Personally, I feel like mainly social media influences relationships in the aspect of keeping up with the Joneses. Like everything you see on social media is not what real life is.
Yeah.
So I feel like hardly ever, I feel like people are starting to move towards like putting their real life on social media, the ups and the downs, but I feel like hardly ever you see real raw life on social media. And so if this relationship is doing this and this boyfriend or husband is doing this for their wife or girlfriend, why are you not doing that for me?
Yeah.
When that was never your expectation.
Right.
But now that you see somebody else has it, why can't I have it? So I feel like it can have a negative effect, but I feel like it could also have a positive effect because if you have a different outlook, like I know that what they're putting out here isn't everything behind closed doors. It makes you like be a little bit more level-headed, I think, but mainly, I feel like it has a negative effect because you're trying to keep up with everybody else.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And one of the biggest topics for me that it just really like hit home for me, like, yeah, this is like social media is ruining people. Was this whole 50-50, 100-0 debate. I gotta be real. Like that was it.
That's the biggest topic.
Like that was probably
right
the
now.
dumbest topic ever,
Yeah.
right? Like, we're gonna go 50-50. Cool. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you.
Right.
We're gonna go, you pay all the bills and then I'm gonna do whatever with my money. Like, all right, that's cool too. Like if you can afford that, that's cool. But like it's what works for you and what works for your household. Like some of these people that are on these podcasts, like I just want to take their microphone. Somebody might feel like this about this show, but I promise you, we're not gonna be over here talking about things that don't have substance, right? So my whole thing is do what works for you, and communicate with your partner. Stop worrying about a post, a status, a story, a like, a comment, a share. Talk to your partner and find out what works best for you guys, and be transparent, right? I think that comes back to mental health. Is being transparent, having somebody that you can talk to, because men and women both go fight the world all day long, and with their jobs, with friendships, with social media. And then you got to have that safe space. That safe space should be your partner.
Right.
So.
I also think that you should be transparent, but also you shouldn't set those, even if you don't have a partner currently, you shouldn't set those expectations when you are going to look for somebody or are in the dating field. Like you can't expect somebody to pay all your bills and you've never had that, or that's not the type of person you attract, or that's not your tax bracket. Yeah. So I feel like also be transparent with the people you have around you, but also be realistic about what you're looking for in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like you have to, the topic is always what do you bring to the table, but it's like you can't expect this out of somebody if you can't provide that for yourself. It's always my opinion. Yeah. So I think that's another big topic.
You got me drinking. Yeah. There you go. This is a cognac conversation. Okay. Cheers, for sure. So yeah, I being on social media, I seen a post that said I don't know if it was TD Jakes or whoever it was, and forgive me if I'm quoting the wrong person, but somebody said something like he asked the lady what all she wanted in a man, and then he told her to become that. Become what you want. Men too. You know what you want in a lady, become that. If you want this person to be your strength, be her strength. If you want this person that you can confide in, allow her to confide in you. It has to work both ways.
I 100% agree with
and
that.
we got to get back to that because at the end of the day, we need each other. Like
Right.
that's it. That's the biggest thing. Like I'm sick of this us versus them thing.
And that's what it's been like. It's like you need to be dominant, you need to be submissive. It's not a unit anymore. It's
Yeah.
always versus, and that's what creates the friction.
Yeah. Nah, that's real. That's real. And I hear people all the time say, well, we can't be like grandmama and granddaddy because granddaddy paid all the bills. Granddaddy also had 2 families. Like, mine did for sure. But
And I agree with that part too.
we gotta evolve with the times, and the times say that we need each other. Like it's only gonna get harder out here.
But the constant from then to now is we've always needed each other, regardless of what the circumstance
Say
has
that.
been. It's
Say that.
we've always needed
You
each
gonna
other.
have me drunk up here. Say that. Say that.
Like, not to get religious, but the Bible even says that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's been a constant. That's never changed. Our perspectives and expectations are what's have changed.
Yep. Nah, I agree with that. Nah, that's real. I could do this for another 30 minutes talking about this topic because I'm one of them advocates for men and women needing each other and building, right? That's how the
Right.
family's supposed to work. And we just got to get back to that as a whole. But we're gonna cut it right here because the whole thing it's about you, introducing you to the world,
Okay.
and everything that you've done for this show. So again, I want to say that I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna make memories together.
Yes, I cannot wait.
And for y'all, come have a glass with us.
I always do this like I'm taking a shot.
Yeah, you used to take a bunch of shots.